South Africa has reached a pivotal moment in its history with the recent signing of the Expropriation Bill into law. President Cyril Ramaphosa's action on January 24, 2025, has ignited passionate debate across the nation. The bill empowers the government to expropriate land with nil compensation under specific circumstances. This provision lies at the heart of the controversy. Proponents hail it as a crucial step towards redressing the injustices of the past. Critics, however, fear it could undermine property rights and economic stability. The bill's signing marks a watershed moment in South Africa's ongoing land reform efforts. It is the culmination of years of debate and political maneuvering. At its core, the legislation seeks to address the legacy of apartheid, which systematically dispossessed black South Africans of their land. The goal is to achieve a more equitable distribution of land ownership. However, the path to achieving this goal is fraught with complexity. The success of the Expropriation Bill hinges on its implementation. The government faces the daunting task of balancing competing interests. It must address historical injustices while upholding property rights and ensuring economic stability. Failure to strike this balance could have far-reaching consequences. The coming months and years will be crucial in determining the true impact of this landmark legislation. South Africa stands at a crossroads. The choices made today will shape the nation's destiny for generations to come. The world watches with bated breath as South Africa embarks on this uncertain yet hopeful journey. The signing of the Expropriation Bill is not an isolated event. It is the latest chapter in South Africa's long and complex history of land reform. Discussions surrounding land expropriation have been ongoing for decades. However, the issue gained significant momentum around 2017. This period witnessed growing calls for radical economic transformation and land redistribution. In 2018, the South African Parliament embarked on a series of public consultations. Citizens from all walks of life shared their views on the proposed expropriation legislation. These consultations highlighted the deep divisions within South African society. While many supported land reform, there were significant disagreements about the best approach. After years of debate and revisions, the National Assembly finally adopted the Expropriation Bill in September 2022. The bill then went to the National Council of Provinces, where further amendments were made. Finally, on March 27, 2024, Parliament passed the bill, paving the way for its eventual signing into law. The journey to this point has been arduous and marked by political maneuvering. The ruling African National Congress, ANC, has faced pressure from within its own ranks, as well as from opposition parties, to expedite land reform. The economic freedom fighters, EFF, in particular, have advocated for expropriation without compensation. This stance has added to the complexity of the land debate in South Africa. The signing of the Expropriation Bill has exposed deep divisions within the South African government. While President Ramaphosa and the ANC have championed the bill, opposition parties have voiced strong concerns. The Freedom Front Plus and the Democratic Alliance, DA, have been particularly vocal in their criticism. They argue that the bill was passed without adequate consultation and poses a significant threat to property rights. The DA has vowed to challenge the legislation in court. They argue that it undermines the very foundations of the South African economy. The party fears that the bill will deter investment and lead to capital flight. This, they argue, will have dire consequences for the country's already struggling economy. Beyond the political sphere, various organizations have expressed anxieties about the potential ramifications of the Expropriation Bill. Agrisa, a prominent agricultural industry body, has warned that the bill could jeopardize food security and agricultural sustainability. They argue that expropriation without fair compensation will discourage investment in the agricultural sector, leading to job losses and decreased production. Adding to the chorus of concern, the Freedom Front Plus has expressed worry about the bill's broad scope. The party highlights that the legislation allows for the expropriation of not only land, but also movable and immovable property. This, they argue, could extend to intellectual property rights, creating further uncertainty and deterring innovation. Despite the wave of concerns, the South African government has attempted to allay fears surrounding the expropriation bill. President Ramaphosa has repeatedly emphasized that expropriation will not be arbitrary. He insists that any expropriation must serve a clear public purpose and be in the public interest. The government has also stressed that the bill includes safeguards to prevent abuse. They highlight that the legislation mandates negotiations with property owners on reasonable terms before any expropriation can occur. Furthermore, the government points to the bill's provision for court involvement in resolving compensation disputes. Adding their voices to the debate, some legal experts and agricultural economists have downplayed the concerns surrounding the expropriation bill. They argue that the legislation does not pose an immediate threat to land ownership security. Annalisa Crosby of Ugbiz, an agricultural business chamber, points out that expropriation powers already exist in various South African laws. She argues that the new bill merely clarifies and codifies these existing powers. The ultimate impact of the expropriation bill on land access and property rights in South Africa remains uncertain. The coming years will be crucial in determining how the legislation is implemented and interpreted. While the bill aims to address historical injustices, its success hinges on striking a delicate balance between land redistribution, property rights, and economic stability.